Okay. We are back up, guys. We're going to go ahead and redo everything. I got to do the monologue again and everything. What's going on, guys? Welcome to another edition of Breaking Debates. Me and Ken have a special video. We're going to be, once again, talking about the Star Wars Episode VIII, The Last Jedi. So this is going to be just a spoiler-filled review / discussion. So thank you, guys. We hit again. We hit that 100th episode of Breaking Debates, so we're really proud of that. I'm going to definitely keep this show going. Unfortunately, Madam B couldn't be with us right now, but that's okay. We still got plenty of more episodes for her to show up in. And without further ado, let's get on with the review. Star Wars Episode VIII, The Last Jedi, is the 8th major installment in the Star Wars film series, and it follows Rey, who's recently developed her Jedi powers, and she's going to go see Luke Skywalker so he can train her, so that way they can kind of get an edge in this war against the First Order. And that's the bulk of the movie. And I'm going to let the Star Wars guru go ahead and take it away.
Wow. I wish I recorded the earlier one.
Yeah.
But each time this one get bigger and better. So,
yeah.
What's good? It's our director, our new director, not J.J. Abrams, who did the last movie. But what was his name again? Rian
Johnson.
Rian Johnson was a new writer, new director, and he brought a new, different feel. Yes, there's some familiarity with the series. I mean, we have our intro and everything that you expect, but the movie is very different. It's not your standard Star Wars movie. I mean, again, you feel that familiarity, but the style is, there's something different. You can just, if you've watched Star Wars as long as I have, and you know the George Lucas movies, you're like, okay, and you have that feel, but much better, much interesting story. Because in this storyline, we get more involved into the Jedi. We don't disappear into the Jedi Order, but we do get some background in Rey looking for training through Luke. What's going on with Luke? Why has he been in isolation for the last 20 years or 30 years, something like that?
No, I think it was actually like, I don't think it's been that long. I think it's been like 10.
He's been gone a long time. I think it's been well. Yeah, it's been at least 10 to 15 years. I would say at least that, because Kylo was a kid and he's much older now, so he would be in his probably mid 20s to late 20s.
Yeah.
And then we have we know that Kylo was originally trained by Luke. We find out what happens kind of at the beginning of the Knights of Ren. We find out couple different takes, and I really want to kind of leave that open. I don't want to really spoil that one, because you get several different perceptions of what happened between Kylo and Luke.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's really kind of important to see the many versions of what happened, because it becomes part of the story and it's important. And I really don't want to spoil that, because it just helps to understand, because you see it from Kylo's view, you see it from Luke's view, and then you see it from Rey, who's trying to put it together of what's going on. And it's a very important part of the show, because it gives you some insight to Kylo and why he is the way he is.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Snoke's been tugging his strings. Snoke's been teaching him, but Snoke has a low opinion of him anyway. He's still quite disappointed with his student in this episode, And before we saw him, he was new, or at least, a few years has been under Snoke's tutelage. Rey, who's pretty much never handled a lightsaber, never dealt with the Force ability. She's learned it. It's happening, and such a natural to it. She beats Kylo in the last movie in a fight, in which Snoke, blames him for being stupid and slow and getting beat by basically a girl with no ability, and whooped him. And you're like, whoa, what's going on here? And we also find out, we see, again, development of Jedi abilities. We're not harping on what has already existed. A lot of the stuff that we're seeing in this new movie is stuff we haven't seen before. Well, let me rephrase that briefly. Example we used a little bit earlier. We know Rey and Kylo can communicate. They kind of see each other at the end of the last movie, but this one they kind of actually start seeing each other. They start hearing each other, and they get to a point where they kind of basically, in essence, physically touch or at least can feel each other physically over great distances of space. Something that we've not seen before. We've seen a hinkling of it with Vader and Luke at the end of Empire Strikes Back. Also, again, with Leia and Luke. Again, Cloud City, where Luke's falling. He's, about to fall off Cloud City. He calls for Leia. She senses him. We see some of that. This is like a huge step above that. We've seen hinkling of it.
Hey, Ken, have you seen Sense 8 before?
Yes.
It's like that.
It's almost like that, except they don't give each other the abilities of the other.
The one thing I wish
they do have the physicality of each other.
I do admit, I wish they could have did a little bit better with that, because most of the time you see them doing this, it's like jump cuts.
Exactly. And in fact, that's what I just read. He was saying, there was actually, "Why is Kylo Ren shirtless?" was the actual title of the post. And I was like, well, I don't know. It was kind of odd because usually, Star Wars, we don't really see anybody naked. I don't even half naked. I mean, of course, Leia back from Jedi. But why was Kylo, shirtless? And Brian's answer to that was basically, he says, we wanted to talk about their ability and to say that they were just hearing each other. They were actually able to see each other. And remember, she said, she goes, I'm really not up for this right now. He goes, neither am I. It's just happening. And he was, whatever he was doing, a changing or whatever. And she goes, I can see you. Could you put on a shirt?
Yeah.
He was talking about, because he wanted to show how powerful of a situation or an ability this was. They were not only just hearing each other, they were physically seeing each other over the distances. Because remember, very early before that scene, he says, I can't tell where you're at, but he could hear like Luke in the background.
Yeah.
So he was almost there, but he wasn't quite yet. They hadn't made that connection. And so that was kind of an interesting thing. We see Luke pull off some extremely awesome force ability near the end of the movie, kind of saving the day, where he was able to literally projection himself not only to the world that they're on, see his sister, physically touch her.
Yes.
Physically hand her something that he took from the Millennium Falcon earlier. He was able to walk outside. And of course, I love what he did with C-3PO, and he gave him the wink, which was pretty cool.
Yeah.
That was kind of a hinkling something was about to happen. And then he goes out and literally all these new AT-ATs, they call them guerrilla AT-ATs. And Kylo's like, oh, he shows up, huh? Well, I'll show you something. And he freaking lets all the firepower of everything they brought with him on one spot. And then Luke comes out and he's like, is that all you got? Come on, egging him on. And Kylo, of course, is now pissed off. And he wants some action. He wants some Luke. And he gets out there and he starts fighting. And we find out that he actually is a force projector. Yeah, he thinks he's fighting. He never touched him in the first. Well, yeah, he did. He did touch him twice. But it was something that we've never seen before, and kind of, I think, leads to the end of Skywalker. Or maybe there was a couple theories about this too, because we know at this point Skywalker is straining himself, or at least what appears to be straining himself, to be able to project himself onto the planet and stall long enough for them to get away. There was a couple thoughts that, how he faded away just like Yoda did earlier in Empire Strike, or excuse me, in the beginning of Jedi.
Return of Jedi.
Yeah. Where they think he may have found peace and balance, and his mission is now resolved, and he becomes one with the Force. That was a theory. Another one was that it was such a strain for him to be able to do what he was doing that it basically killed him.
Mm-hmm.
Others were he just gave up. I really don't go with the gave up. I think he had given up, and then he felt that scene we were talking about earlier where he finds, the Kylo Ren story about how things go. I think that and Rey reinvigorated and recharged him and brought him back. And then, of course, we know the greatest cameo of all time is when Yoda makes an appearance as a Force ghost and talks to Luke.
It was a puppet Yoda, too.
It was impractical, yeah.
Yeah, it wasn't the CGI one from the prequels, which I don't have a problem with.
Frank Oz.
Yeah.
It was Frank Oz who came back and did it. They kept him under wraps because I had no idea. I've been trying to avoid spoilers for the movie because I kind of spoiled the last one, and I didn't want to do it with this one. And the Yoda coming back and basically telling him, he came back and he said, stop being stupid. Just because you got the books, the knowledge is there. It's all what's in here. It's what you feel. The Force isn't just magic. It's not just. I was trying to remember how you verbalized it because it was so good.
Yeah,
I mean that's one of the most awesome parts of the movie because it makes you kind of understand what Yoda was trying to teach him all along, and he just hadn't got the message yet. And at this point, Luke's wanting to destroy this, get rid of the Order and Jedi Order and religion altogether, and just be done with it.
Imagine
and Yoda's like,
now me, I'm a Star Wars fan, and we're both Star Wars fans. And I'm one of those. Okay, yeah, yes, there was some things I would like to see in the movie. The movie didn't do, but I'm not holding it against the movie. I'm going to judge the movie on the merits of what we saw. Do you think that the whole, Luke kind of being in this slump and everything, do you think the story supported it?
I think his part of his slump was in Rey's development because she wanted someone to show her place, as she says in the trailers and in that key sequence of scene. I want to know who I am. Basically, who am I and what am I doing? I want somebody to tell me, not discover it on her own, but she wants somebody to tell her that. And Luke is actually in that same spot. He doesn't really know his place anymore too. Since all this stuff happened with Kylo, he put himself in exile. Luke has kind of lost his way too. With her showing up to him and then, forcing him to realize and readdress everything, I think it was part of the story. I think it was kind of important for it to happen. It was humorous at times.
Yeah.
And then, it came back and it kind of shocked you a couple of times. But I do think that his isolation could have been explained a little bit more because he said he came there to die. He could have died any time. I mean, he's been there, 15 years or more. He could have easily died, killed himself, whatever.
I think it's more like he just wanted to kind of like fade away.
Well, he did. I mean, he was kind of like Kylo, he just wanted everything to go away. He didn't want the Empire or the First Order or the Jedi. He didn't want any of that. He just wanted him and Rey to start new and fresh. Get rid of all the old ways and start fresh. But then what was his words? Join me.
Mm-hmm.
Join me and together we'll build a better world. Where have we heard that before?
I don't ask you this. This is something I read. I heard before, but I just want to ask you this in comparisons. Anakin's fall from grace, Kylo's fall from grace. Which one do you think did it better?
I don't think Kylo fell from grace. I don't. Because Anakin started out as a Padawan, too old. They didn't want to have to train him. Obi-Wan took him on. And because he was too old, they were concerned about, again, what exactly happened was he's too old. He won't learn the lessons. It won't be ingrained into him. It'd be like shoving it down his throat, and it's not going to work. And his kind of his physical immaturity made him susceptible. And of course, that's where a very powerful Jedi, untapped, Obi-Wan's trying to put him on the right. And then, of course, we had Palpatine sneaking around, manipulating him, trying to say, we can make a better world, but we're going to have to break the rules to do it.
Mm-hmm.
And basically, Anakin Skywalker became a tragic character because we see what happens as Vader in 3. He's savable. He ends up being savable, but he's a tragic character because he gets so involved in it, and before he knows it, it's too late. He's been blinded. Obi-Wan didn't want to kill him. He messed him up and made him even nuttier. And so all this time that we've had Vader, Mr. Badass Vader doing things until his son shows up, which was his redemption. Kylo Ren, to me, never really fell from it because he was still building. He was an apprentice to Luke. And of course, that key scene that happens, you know, his interpretation, Luke's interpretation, and as Ray said, he hadn't even made his decision yet. You know, he's still not decided yet.
Yeah.
You know, even though he's hanging with the bad guys, he just hasn't made. He's still immature. And then, you know, as he and Ray are communicating back and forth, we see that development. You feel that, yeah, he wants to do something, but you're not quite sure what. You know, does he want to go this? Stay in the dark, stay in the light. You don't know until the very end of that. And where he goes, I know, when he says, I know what I must do. And at that moment, he had made his decision of where he was going to be. And it wasn't Jedi. It wasn't Sith. It was myself. Yeah. And trying to make the betterment of everything. And that, I say, I don't think he fell. I think he was standing up, and now he's beginning his path outside of what we've seen in the Empire, you know, between the Jedi and the Sith.
Yeah.
You know, and Rey's not a typical individual. She wasn't really taught by a Jedi master for years and years and years. She was abandoned and left on a planet. I don't think that story's legit, though. I think there's more to Rey than is being told so far. Because Kylo somehow knew her story, but I don't think he actually does. I think he was just using that to goat rope her into joining up with him, or you're not really anything.
I'm on the fence about that because what was it? I heard somebody, I heard another YouTuber say that they didn't like Rey because she was just a random, like some random character. She wasn't a part of the Solo or the Skywalker family.
Yeah.
And I'm like, well, if you think about it, Anakin was random. He was just
Anakin was just out of nowhere. He was a slave kid on Tatooine, working for the Hutts, basically.
You know what I'm saying? I'm gonna be I'm gonna be fair about that. As far as that happening to her, and this is why I say I kind of like the way the movie explained it. They gave you an explanation, and it kind of does make sense. Because this movie actually delved into some stuff that none of the other movies actually ever touched. Like most of the time when they talk about stuff like that, it's like preordained, it's destiny or something. And and in this film, like with Rey's character, she wasn't like the one.
No, she had nothing in there. She had, you know, she was basically a nobody, just like we were saying. You know, she was on a planet, but I think her skill thing, that's what kind of messes with me a little bit, is how much she knows, but she doesn't know. She, you know, flew the Millennium Falcon. Granted, she had a rough time, but she got it. She was able to wield a lightsaber and never have had used it before.
As far as the flying part, because I think it's both, because of the way she lived. And like, yes, she spent, I guess, her life stripping ships and stuff. So yes, she'd have skills with that. And I thought about the lightsaber too, but then the movie addressed that. The movie did address that. I don't know if you caught it. Remember before she started training with the lightsaber, what was she doing?
She used her staff.
Yeah, and you see how proficient she is with the staff.
A staff and a sword, not quite similar in handling, but when she put the staff down and went to the saber and was using it, and then she cut that rock off. And I love the little nuns, whatever they were, the caretakers, not the little porgs, the nuns that were like running the ancient temple. Like Ray was on their crap list. She blew a hole in the wall. She cut the rock off and hit their food gatherings for the day. And I like the humor. You know, we had with, let's say with episode 1, 2, and 3, we had a little bit in there, not overwhelming, but of course a Lucas movie.
Yeah.
4, 5, and 6, you know, we got some really kind of smart character stuff with
like witty dialogue. That's about it.
Yeah, and you know, I wouldn't have a, you know, Wookiees don't rip off droid arms and stuff. But then we got to J.J. Abrams, and we have a little bit different feel of a movie because it's a different producer, different director, different writer. But, you know, the scene where, you know, we see the familiar when Han and Chewie show up on a Millennium Falcon, and you're like, oh, man, they're back, you know, awesome. you feel that vibe. And then just before that, Solo was trying to get out of, screwing somebody over with these whatever monster things.
Yeah.
And they all get loose, and he's like, "Oh crap, we got to go." You had a little bit different when they're on Maz's island. He's trying to offer her a job, and he's trying to, try to talk to her, and he doesn't know exactly how to address it. The humor that goes along with that. Those were great moments.
Yes.
When we saw, episode 8 now, we have a little bit of here and there, but it's a lot of familiarity, like Luke winking to C-3PO. Like something big's about to happen, watch. When he meets R2-D2, you feel that connection, and R2-D2 takes a cheap shot at him, showing the Princess Leia, which was great. Yes. I mean, that was a well-placed shot right there. And he's like, "That's not fair."
Yeah, that was actually good.
There was trying to think one of the other scenes that was really good. Oh, we saw talking about force powers. Leia's really never shown anything, and here you get your mind blown because she's on the Mon Calamari ship. Sucker gets blown up, sucks everybody out into space. She's floating around in space, but uses her Jedi abilities that we've never seen and pulls her right back into the ship. So there's a lot of stuff going on there. Was it Holdo? General Holdo?
The woman?
Yeah, the purple hair lady.
Yeah.
Holdo?
Yeah.
There's a lot of interesting stuff with her because she's not mentioned a lot. She comes in, it seems like she has no idea what she's doing, but in the end, she knew exactly what she was doing.
I love that. I love the way they did that because I was like, I do not like this character. And then they turned it around.
Like, this lady's gonna get them all killed. She's like ruining their day. And next thing you know, oh damn, really?
She turned it around.
But let me tell you one thing I really did like. As with any Star Wars movie that's ever started, there's always that cool battle, that cool starting sequence. My first favorite one is coming back in episode 3 where they're having a battle over Coruscant.
Yes.
That was an epic, badass, super cool scene. This thing brings some of that expanded universe stuff we talked about in many other episodes in the Star Wars world, where you have the Dreadnought, big, huge war machine, and they bring it to life in this movie. And they're pounding the Rebel stronghold, whooping on them hard, and they bring in these bombers, and just the whole scene is just like insane. You're like, oh my God, what's going on?
Yeah. And
awesome.
I would say.
And then we see Snoke's ship.
Yes.
Oh my God, that thing was, I mean, I thought a Dreadnought was big. When you see like a Star Destroyer like this big, and then there's his ship, and they're like itty bitty tiny. And you're like, oh my God. And that thing was huge. The scale.
Yes.
The way the things were going on, and the last telling of that movie when Snoke's ship showed up, you knew some crap was about to hit the fan.
Yeah.
You knew it. And they kind of had this whole plan going on. And so I was very impressed graphically wise in the movie.
Yes, the visuals are fantastic.
Very good. Very good. And I want to go see it again just to enjoy that cinematic experience of seeing these large scale ships.
Yes.
All the stuff that's going on. The very beginning of it is just intense. And that's awesome. A lot of people, and you feel the sacrifice of these people and what they're doing, especially Rose's sister, and I can't remember her actual sister's name. And you don't even know her name. You just know, you see something that later connects you to Rose, which is a new character in the Star Wars world.
Yep.
Who was basically security or engineering. I'm not quite sure what her, her and Finn have a relationship that kind of kicks off with about a 10 million volts kickstart. There was some good humor in that, and you will enjoy the scene. And I'm not going to spoil that one, but there's a good scene between Rose and Finn early in the movie, and it sets off the relationship very well. And it's great when it happens. You're just going to laugh for a good 5 minutes because of that scene.
I got to say,
I said we were going to do spoilers, but I really like. There's some moments I want to say.
Go ahead. This it.
I don't want to do it. Because it's so good and it sets it up so well. Let's just say they have a very close encounter, not of a physical kind, but it's kind of like she's expecting him to do something he's trying not to do. He's trying to get help. And the only way he can get off the ship is an escape pod. And of course, we're in this very dire situation on this Mon Calamari cruiser that basically is being pursued by Snoke's flagship. And they're beating on him and just constantly beating on him. And they don't have a lot of fuel and they don't have a lot of time.
Yeah.
So she's
and
kind
I
of
thought they kept it intense.
Oh, yeah, because, you know, you see these ships one by one, you know, dropping like flies.
Yep.
And when they go, they go. There's no mercy, no quarter, nothing. I mean, they are gone. And that just shows you how serious they were. And the beginning of the movie with General Hux and Poe is another great moment in the movie.
Hux is awesome.
Hux is an idiot.
Gave in The Force Awakens, I was like, this guy's a cool character. There are some elements I want to talk about besides the Force powers that they did elaborate on. Again, that none of the other films ever touched on.
Nope.
One of them is someone like with Rose's character. She's probably the only character I've ever seen that be that prominent, that the Empire, the First Order, or what evil organization has directly affected her life.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I can't really think of any other characters. Either they were just random characters you didn't know nothing about, or there was like an officer or something, but you never got a point where
there's really never been anybody. I mean, you know, Anakin was a result of slavery on Tatooine. Luke was hidden there to keep him out of the Empire's hands, keep him away from Vader. I mean, you could kind of say you sort of directly, but Rose is her character development is literally a result of the very beginning of the movie, where her sister sacrifices herself completely to stop that dreadnought. And, you know, but you don't put two and two together until you see the necklace.
Yeah.
And when you realize, oh my God, that's got to be a relative or a sister, and you find out it was her sister, well, then you're like, holy crap, you know, and she wants to do something so bad, you know, she wants to save the world because her sister gave her life for this.
Yes.
And she's not tolerant of anybody trying to run away from it. She's all about pretty much putting her life on the line. And that's what makes her character very, very interesting because, you know, out of the movies, you just have a nobody who walks into a very prime slot.
Yeah. And the thing about that was, it was like a very powerful scene, too.
Yeah. I mean, it was just like, whoa.
Like that right there was like another one element that they explored that I liked. Also, they were showing that it isn't the Empire that's developing the technology and the weapons and stuff like that. They're buying it from suppliers who are getting rich from war. Now, I know some people
they're playing both sides, too.
Yeah. And I know some people would say that's kind of like a leftist message in the movie. But you actually think about it, it makes sense. Where are both sides getting their weapons and stuff from? And this movie is like the first one I've ever actually addressed that. And I'm like, as much as I watch Star Wars, I've never thought of that before. People are getting rich off of this.
Yeah. Well, in real time, in real world. Well, no, let's go Iron Man.
Good
example. You know, Robert Downey Jr., you know, his dad made weapons. He's been making weapons. And it doesn't make he doesn't care. He sells his weapons until he is personally affected by his own weapons. Where they use Stark Industries to hurt and injure him, and they want to use his weapons to kill people. And then that reality sets in. Oh my God, what have I been doing? But in the Star Wars world, you see a lot of the wholesaling of weapons. You see a lot of that in the cartoon series Rebels. Actually, it's not as prominent, but it does show up in there. I mean, they do have research and development, but when it comes down to the actual manufacture and sometimes the creation of these, they're done and they play both sides. And that does come in. This one actually shows the first time that somebody's actually been selling both to the First Order / Empire and the Rebellion.
So I like that.
And that's, you know, I like how, I can't remember his name, DJ?
Yeah.
Del Toro's character. He was kind of an interesting character because I was like, wow, this dude's kind of trippy. You know, a little bit of humor.
He was an interesting character, but he seems like one of those characters like, okay, he's kind of shoot in, but if he was actually like throughout the movies, he would have been a better character.
Yeah.
because he helps him, but it's like he came out of nowhere. He helped him, and then turned around, betrayed him. That was it.
Exactly.
Like,
then he gets blown up. Payback sucks, people.
Does he?
Yeah, remember the AT-AT? He was standing right there. Because he was getting ready to walk. He was getting ready to walk away with that box, and they were getting ready to cut their heads off with those laser axes. And then, BB-8 blows them, basically shoots and blows up the area with the AT-AT. And then he's gone. You never see him again.
Okay.
And where he's standing is a big old hunk of metal.
If I ever go back to go watch it again, I'm gonna be careful to look out for that scene. Just like how you caught the little boy using the Force, and I missed him.
Yep. Because you were really. I mean, if you weren't paying attention, I was. It just kind of caught a corner of my eye, and I realized, hey, he just grabbed that broom and he never touched it, because you were focusing on the kid dreaming about the stars.
Oh, I turned my head. I ended up turning my head at that exact moment. I was like, damn it.
That's why you got to go see these movies more than one time. I'm definitely going to go back and see it again. I want to see it before it leaves the theater, because it was just, I know it, but I want to see it again. I want to see all the little crap that I missed. And if you read like a lot of the I don't want to say spoilers, but a lot of people do all the missed things, that people caught, that extreme Star Wars people caught, to watch that stuff. And I just really want to go see it again.
It was one more thing I did like that this movie did, that again the other movies never did do. And in this one, you feel like the Resistance are on their last leg.
They are on their last leg. There is no ands, ifs, or buts. I mean, it's down to what they were, like 400.
It was like what by the first beginning of the movie was like a few thousand. But then by like the halfway point, it's like a few hundred.
Well, we do remember that in Rogue One, we saw the first action of the rebellion, the first big action of the rebellion, with the Mon Calamari and all the side races that have joined in to stop it. So that's where they start. Now, when we come into Episode 7 and 8, that some of them have scattered all over the place just to get the heck out of Dodge. Mm-hmm. And then the few more dedicated ones have hung around and stayed. And I'm greatly saddened, because I caught it and I didn't process it at the movie. And I was just watching a review. Admiral Akbar bit the bullet when that Calamari cruiser got hit. He got sucked out into space.
Oh, she said, fish head guy.
Yeah, it's a trap.
I didn't know that. I didn't realize that.
I remember hearing. I thought she had said something. I remember her saying Akbar, and then it just kept going and rattling my head. I said, I don't remember seeing him anywhere. We saw the other one. I can't think of his name, General whatever it was, but I never saw Akbar there. And now he's gone. I don't remember seeing the one. What's the one? He's short. He got the alien with the really big black eyes, and he's got that. Yeah, he was in there. He was the co-pilot in Empire. Or excuse me, Return of the Jedi.
He was in the movie, but now that you mention it, I don't remember seeing him after that scene.
That was it. That's all you saw. He was in that briefing room. That was it. He was gone.
Okay.
I think it was just one of those cameos.
They made sure to kill people. Like, they made sure to kill people off of this movie. Like,
they were dropping like flies. I will also remember General Holdo's self-sacrifice against
one of the most epic.
That was probably the coolest visual they've pretty much ever done in any of the Star Wars movies. Because I knew she was about to do something. I just didn't understand how it was going to work. And then that scene happened where she jumped into hyperspace and basically split Snoke's ship in half. Mm-hmm. I was like, oh my God, she's going to hyperspace right into him. And then you can see everybody going, ah! And boom.
That was like one of the best, like most.
And then when they kind of pull back the scene and you're looking at what has now happened. I mean, you see the explosion, the hyperspace gate and all that stuff, but then when you see it's done, you see it. and you're like, oh my God. And you realize the size of this thing and what this one little ship did cutting through it in hyperspace.
Yeah.
Very, very impressive moment. I mean, that's one of those moments where you're like, whoa, I am thoroughly impressed.
I want to address this because I know every other fan, because everybody else is reviewing this movie definitely addressed this point. Got to say it, and it's out there. Okay, Luke dies, like basically, or ascends, whatever you want to call it. But the ending was kind of anticlimactic because, again, I'm not one of those that be like, the movie should have been like this, otherwise it should have been better. But it's like, the movie should have been like that. It would have been better. Like what we were talking about earlier, the Kylo Ren, Luke altercation.
Yeah.
It all builds up to where you think there's going to be this badass fight between these two characters. And it's set up like it. It builds up to it. The tension, the suspense, everything hit the mark. And that ain't what you get, though.
Poof.
And I'm not docking points from the movie for that. Because, you know what I'm saying, the story itself kind of supports it. It does kind of support it.
He came out of his shell, realized his mission in life, came to save their asses, and delayed them long enough so they could get away.
Mm-hmm.
And we see the when Rey shows up in the Falcon and saves the day. You know, she moves the rocks with her ability. She's even more powerful now than she was at the beginning of the movie.
Mm-hmm.
And then the rebellion lives basically in essence. We get the big fight. Everybody gets away. We know that now we can say that the rebellion at least has, and I think Leia said it, and then Holdo said it too, was we're losing our spark. You know, we're dying. This is it. There's a few hundred of us. If we're lucky, we are it. If we go out, the whole world goes out.
Yeah.
And I think the underlying factor here is, yeah, we want to see a big badass end scene, but in reality, I think the message, we got our big scene for the moment.
Yeah.
But the message is that the spark's not out. We're still here. We're still in the fight. We may have gotten our ass handed to us, but we still have the light and we have hope in the storyline, you know, carrying it on. And I think that's what they wanted to carry on with. We didn't want to see the big grand finale, kind of like, you know, end of Jedi where the Death Star blows up and everybody's having a big old party. They're losing. They're losing a fight that they could possibly win at this point. And the only way they're going to make it is if they keep going. And we think they're dead. We think they're about to get wiped off the face of the earth.
Mm-hmm.
And then, boom, you know, that spark is back there, Rey's there. She's ready, recharged. She has a mission now. You know, Poe and Leia are there, the surviving members of what's left of the rebellion and a few hundred people that they may have even saved. I think that was the bigger message, that the spark is not out. And because they harped on it several times in the movie, and it was just kind of like, why they keep talking about that? You know, because they used to talk about it in the original movies, the 4, 5, and 6, where, you know, the hope of light against the darkness. But when Leia was sitting down, when nobody was answering their message, when they were all basically, we're about to get blown to bits and we're completely screwed.
Mm-hmm.
And what do we do now? We've been fighting this fight, and all the people who were supposed to help us have left us alone. They've abandoned us. There's no one left. We are it. But we're going to fight it. We're going to fight to the last man or woman or porg. And I love the porgs. They're so funny. But, you know, and then in their darkness, I mean, in the last moment, they just about to get their ass kicked. Luke shows up.
Mm-hmm.
And reunites that spark. He finds himself where his meaning in life is. He sets off everybody else to see their way. Rey learns her lesson through the conflict and the fight with Snoke and all that stuff that's going on. And so I think the big message to walk away is we're not done yet. We still got some fight left in us. And I think that's what we're going to see in Episode 9 in 2019 or 2018. Late 2018, I think, is what's coming. No, I'm sorry, it's 2019. It's 2019 because there's 2 years in between. So I would really like to see. I think we're going to see a lot of interesting things. Hux is still around. Kylo is still around. Snoke may or may not be out of the picture yet.
Let's talk about Snoke. What did you?
Yeah, because both of us were in the same. We had the same mentality regarding Snoke. You know, the scenes that Snoke is in that movie are impressive.
He's
badass.
Get
the feeling that dude is badass, and he ain't playing around. You feel it. The scenes. I mean, he's even worse than Palpatine was. Palpatine was just a talker. This guy is. You felt it. Andy Serkis's portrayal with motion capture and how they did his face.
Thumbs up.
Spot on. I wish they would have expanded Snoke more. Yes. I wish we knew more about who he was. There's theories that he's Darth Plagueis, who was actually the Darth that taught Palpatine. And Palpatine supposedly killed, but Plagueis was supposed to be beaten death. And he would be maimed up enough to look like it, and he was also as tall as he was. There was suspicion that he was another unknown dark Sith, although he never really referenced Sith. He never mentioned it. He was just strong with the dark side of the Force.
Yeah.
Where did this guy come from? And he said, but he had also been maintaining everything about all the other Jedi. He knew it. He knew about Vader. He even gave Kylo a hard time about Vader. You know, why are you wearing that mask? Why are you trying to be something you're not? Be something else. Be stronger than your dad or grandfather. Mm-hmm. But he knew all that stuff. So he's been around in the background for a long time. That just makes me wonder, you know, I wish we had gotten more Snoke. Because what we got was, man, he was just, Rey tried to take the lightsaber from him and he spun it around and hit her in the head with it. Yeah. You know, and that was great. That was awesome. You know,
he was torturing her. The whole bit where he pissed off Kylo, sent him flying,
talking down to him, and then when Hux screwed up, you know, he had Hux all spun around and was like chewing his ass in front of everybody. He didn't care, and so the radiance of that character was so good. You know, and the throne room he had was all set up really cool with the guards. You know, and there was speculation that those guards were actually the Knights of Ren, but in his armor.
Yeah,
there was speculation and never said it was.
Yeah. I want to ask you this too, because I think if they had, I was on the fence about it too. I'll call it back. I was on the fence about it because I was like, wait, well, in the first Star Wars trilogy, you got Vader and you got the Emperor, and they're there, but they don't tell you how. Well, besides Vader. They don't really tell you how Palpatine comes to power. And then in the first, in the prequels, you had an awesome character.
You find out how he works his way up.
Yeah. And then in the prequels, you get Darth Maul for one movie. And even though there's really nothing about Darth Maul that indicates anything about his backstory, anything, he did come up to be one of the most badass characters in Star Wars, you know, before the series.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
you go ahead, man. Hold on a sec.
Yeah, I just wish they would give us some more background. I would have liked to see a lot more.
Yeah. All right, then give it a few.
And we pause for a moment of identification.
Little family emergency. I'm gonna go ahead and put in a couple more minutes, then I gotta run out the house.
That's okay. But we have a good movie. It's a solid movie. It's different. It still has to feel. We see the development. We see the First Order and how big they really are compared to the Empire. We see development of Ren and Rey. Ren and Rey.
Yeah.
I think the goal of Ren was never to be Sith. He wanted to get rid of everything. And I think that was a very interesting twist.
Yes.
I don't want dark side. I don't want light side. I just want nothing. Get rid of the old. Let it burn is basically what he said. Let it go away. Join me and together we'll rule the galaxy. Very
I do like that. I did like that. How, you know, Kylo was trying to get her to come to the dark side, and Ren was trying to get him. Rey was trying to get him to the light side, and you can see how it was tempting to both of them.
Yeah, they're yin and yang. They oppose each other. They're complete opposites, but yet they have faith in each other. And it wasn't even necessarily. I don't think it was even necessarily to the dark side, just to the way of thinking and the mentality of how they were. And they're both very young. They're very still inexperienced. You know, they're still developing themselves. But I like the idea that he said, let's just get rid of it all. Let it all burn. Get rid of the old. Get rid of it all. And that's why he got rid of Snoke. And that's why he was saying, get rid of the rebellion, and we'll have nothing but just us. Very interesting take. Very interesting. And I want to see how far that goes along in episode 9.
Do you think Phasma, we'll see Captain Phasma again?
No. I don't think she was really that impressive of a character to begin with.
I liked her character. I wish they could have did more with her.
Well, if they had done more with Phantasma, that would have been something. But, I mean, just a brief moment of the first movie, I want to kill you. You know, it's like Boba Fett all over again. You know, you got this hyped-up character, the 7-foot-tall, chromed out.
One of the things they could have did to kind of make it better is have her and Finn had some dialogue together. Maybe she asked Finn why he defected, and he tells her why.
Well, she had that superiority complex. She thought he was basically, she said he was a defective unit. And she said that in the first movie, and she said that in 7.
I still would have liked I would have liked to have that dialogue between these two characters, because Phasma is a great idea. In fact, Phasma is as good an idea as Boba Fett was back in the day. Even though Boba Fett was really cool, you didn't really get too much of his character.
Yeah, you got the nod and the whatever, and
and then Phasma comes in. It's like, she's kind of the new Boba Fett, and she looks cool, and she got presence. And what can she? Let's see what she do. And then she doesn't get. I hope she comes back.
It's very possible. I mean, they kind of left it open. She may have fallen in, and her armor saved her butt. Who knows?
And didn't her armor protect her from those energy blasts?
Well, yeah, she took a couple shots and reflected them, which was interesting because I think I even made a comment saying, holy crap, her armor survived being shot. Yeah. Every other stormtrooper on the planet gets shot and they're dead, in 10 seconds.
Yeah.
Hers reflected the shot. So there is a very good possibility you may see Phantasma in episode 9. Again, it may be a very similar amount of time. Who knows?
What do you think about her fight with Finn?
Interesting. I think they could have made it a little more aggressive. I mean, it was a pretty good fight, and he was fighting her because of who she was. She's fighting him because he's a defective unit and stands against everything she believes. Mm-hmm. But, he got a good look in her. He broke her armor. Mm-hmm. He busted her face armor on that side, and she could see him. She goes, I forgot what she said to him. You're still
scum or something like that?
Yeah, you're scum. And he goes, that's rebel scum.
Yeah.
That's the key Han Solo moment right there. Rebel scum, like nerf herder. Who's she calling nerf herder? I would have liked to see them fight a little bit more aggressively. Although that spear weapon was pretty cool.
I wish it would have been a little bit longer.
Yeah. I think they were pressed for time trying to, get to the rebellions, the scene going on where they're blowing up all their ships.
Yeah. I would have liked to see Phasma do some Darth Maul type stuff with that staff.
Yeah. Yeah, that would have been it was cool to see it being used, but it just
too short.
I think she's just one of those underused characters that, was cool to have a unique stormtrooper.
Yeah. I hope that somebody wrote a book.
Yes.
Do like they did with Boba Fett.
She's in there.
Time, but they wrote a book about him.
Well, there's a whole Mandalorian saga about Boba Fett, stuff that you didn't even see. And if you watch Star Wars Rebels, you get a whole thing. There's a dark saber. There's a dark lightsaber out there, black.
Yep. That's what I do want for her character. If they decide they want to make a series, like an in-between series, like they did with the Clone Wars and Rebels, to kind of bridge the gap, have her be like one of those main characters, or if you're going to expand her character, write it in a book.
Well, yeah, we'll bring her into, Rebels I think this is the last season of Rebels anyway. And Rebels would only tie into joining up with Rogue One / episode 4, 5, and 6. So really,
I was like, what? Yeah,
she would have fallen into it.
I was talking about like if they was going to bridge 6 with like 7, like what happened in that 20-year period.
They need to explore that. I don't know if they'll do. I think they're actually talking about a live action TV series.
Yeah, I heard about that.
Bringing that on. It's been off and on for years, but I think this would be a good time because we talked about, it's great to see a movie, but you only get 2.5 hours. Character development beyond the scope of the show, maybe these extra characters that we've never seen before, like Phantasma. Then drop it, even if it's a mini series. A couple 2-hour miniseries shows or something like that would be phenomenal to explore more into the storyline of Phantasma and the First Order's rise to power.
Yes,
would be a phenomenal series to see. I would watch it. I'd even movie would be too expensive to capture all that, but a TV series would be greater to do that storyline.
Yes,
and I think they would do a phenomenal series with that. Even they could even call it First Order. I would be happy with that. Star Wars, the First Order. And, we have our Rebels, but, we'll have some new no-namers or bring some characters back that we, like Saw Gerrera or somebody like that who was in that series. That would be awesome. I would like to see that.
I kind of want to read more on that Holdo woman because she did impress me by the end of the movie.
She's not a lot mentioned even in the expanded universe. I think she comes up more in the book series than anything.
Okay.
I've heard the name before, but it just never, they just kind of brought another character out of obscurity of that expanded and extended universe. There's a lot of story out there, a lot of story in that expanded universe. They could make, we're already looking at a solo series, a 3 series solo movies. We're looking at probably an Obi-Wan Kenobi movie series.
Hopefully. And
then Brian, the director and writer of this episode movie,
Brian
was talking about doing a separate. Did I say Brian?
It's Ryan.
Ryan. Sorry, don't sue me. Disney, Fox, don't get me. He's writing a separate trilogy in the story, and I don't know exactly what he's writing it about yet. But he's mentioned that he's working on a new trilogy because this 9 will be the end of the original programmed movies that Lucas was developing.
Yes.
That was it. 9. So what he develops for a new trilogy, plus we have 2 other options. I mean, the solo movie is already filming. And then, there's potentially Obi-Wan series, which I definitely would like to see.
Hopefully a Vader series.
I would really love to see a Vader series. Really love to see it. I'm sure most other fans would too, but I think Kenobi in the Clone Wars series was very interesting of a character.
Yeah, I liked him.
And I really enjoyed his interaction with Anakin and his charisma in that series. And I would love to see a live action version of a Kenobi series of what has happened since, basically the Jedi Order has collapsed. So what he's been doing for the last 30 years or whatever it is.
Canon, right?
The what?
The Clone Wars series is canon, right?
It has. Let me think. No, I don't think so.
Because there's 2 characters I've always wanted to see in the movie. Ahsoka, Anakin's protege.
His Padawan.
Yeah, and Ventress, Asajj Ventress.
Asajj Ventress. Yep. Kind of the confused bad guy, good guy. She gets betrayed.
Those 2 characters I would love to see. I wouldn't mind if they actually.
Well, she would be in the Kenobi movie for sure.
Yeah.
Probably in the tail end of it, but she would show up in there.
She's awesome. I like Ventress.
Yeah, because he was really a badass, and then she got betrayed. And in the not Rebels, it was Clone Wars series, really dove into the character, which I really liked. And of course, we know Darth Maul didn't die either. That was another thing in there too. And he actually had a brother. So there's a lot of other side stories that could be evolved into miniseries or even a good animated series.
Yeah.
They've been very successful with Clone Wars. We were very successful with Rebels. But Bring something new. Ahsoka, an Ahsoka series, animated Ahsoka series would be, because she actually fights her master, and they kind of leave you hanging. What happened?
Like I said, that was a great fight. That was a great fight.
That was wild. That whole few episodes was really cool.
But okay,
about that time.
I got an emergency. I hate to cut it short, but all right, guys, I'm gonna go ahead and let Ken give his final thoughts on the movie and what is his verdict of the movie and what does he rate the movie?
I give it 2 Ken thumbs up. Go see it. You'll like it. It is a little different. It's still got the same feel with the new vibe. Definitely worth your effort. Go see it in the theater while you can. And we definitely like it. And I will definitely go see it again for sure.
Yeah. Despite, my little few complaints here and there, the movie just looks good. It sounds good. The action is great. Characters are awesome. Great performances. And a cool focus on the Force abilities, which is one scene between Rey and Kylo where you see them do like this Force grip, trying to grab something.
Yeah, that was pretty cool.
Yeah, it was pretty intense. But
you could kind of feel that scene really well.
And I got to give the movie a 4 out of 5. So definitely go see if you're a Star Wars fan, but don't be one of those that's like everything's got to happen the way you want it to happen. Watch the movie.
Don't expect it.
Yeah, just watch the movie.
Don't expect it. It's a different writer, a different director, same person in this case.
And it goes in a different direction.
It has a little bit of familiarity, but that's it. A little. The rest of it expands in a different way, and it's a good way. Some people were complaining about it. I was still kind of mixed about it even after the movie, but the more I thought about it, the more like, I can groove with that. And I'm really expecting to see episode 9 and see where he takes the series to complete, the final ending, at least of the original 9 movies we would consider.
Okay. Well, guys, you've heard me and Ken talk about it. We got to go get up out of here. But thank you guys for watching this with us. And in the comment section below, let us know, what did you think about Star Wars Episode VIII, The Last Jedi? What are the things that you liked about it? What are the things you didn't like about it? Also, be sure to like, share, subscribe, and hit that notification button to get the best of what's going on here on the Narik Chase channel. And join us again, 8 o'clock next Thursday for another Break of the Baits. The topic be open for 9 to me and him to figure out what we want to talk about. I'm coming up with a whole bunch of notes. But yeah, we'll see you guys next Thursday. And y'all have yourselves a good one. And go watch that movie.
Have a good Christmas, too.
I was going to make a pun. I was going to be like, when Narik and crew are out, may the Force be with you, but I messed it up. So
may the Force be with you. Always.
All right, then, guys. Catch you later.